Hi guys, it's April and we're doing things a little bit differently today because apparently my microphone did not want to record sounds. So we're gonna do a voiceover. Something new, it's gonna be fun and it's gonna be fine. For those of you who don't know, I garden down in southeast Nebraska, zone 6A, and today I'm gonna be starting tomatoes. I normally start a lot of tomatoes, but I don't have the time, like 3 hours or so, to plant out the 43 varieties of tomatoes I want to start this year. So I decided to break it up into 4 sections. The light slicers, the dark slicers, the Roma paste, and the snackers. And today I'm going to be starting with the light slicers. I have about 13 different varieties I want to start here. And by light slicers, I just mean those bigger tomatoes that are great for slicing that are of the lighter variety. So they're the yellows and the oranges, and they have this really beautiful, fruity, sweet taste that I absolutely love. They're some of my favorites. But for starting tomatoes, I keep it really simple. I've got my seeds ready, and I have my little dibbler that is just a mascara wand. It's a reusable one, and I've just used it for years at this point. But I have pre-moistened soil, and I'm just going to move this pot over just to make keeping track of where I'm planting out just a little bit easier. But this first tomato is the Alice Dream tomato. I did attempt to grow it last year. It did sprout, and I did plant it out, but I never got any tomatoes from it. So I'm going to try it again this year, and because this is the second year I've had these seeds, I'm going to try and plant out 3 different seeds. Normally when it is a new seed that I have just purchased, I'll probably just plant 2. But if it's an older variety, I start planting out 3 or 4, depending on how many seeds I have left. But I am really hoping that I will actually get some of these this year because it's just such a beautiful looking tomato and I really want to try it. And then I'm just going to cover it back up here. The planting depth is about 1/4 of an inch. It's not an exact science, but that's usually what I aim for, and then I just cover it back over with all the soil that I have. I did pre-make all of my labels like I normally do, so that's why you will see me reach over to the side of my work area and grab one of those. It's just art tape that I've written on. This next one is called, I believe, do I remember off the top of my head, Lunatech. This is a new variety that I got from a Etsy shop. There are a few from this one. I believe it's the Need for Seed. And like I said, because it is a new seed this year and I have such a limited quantity of these seeds, I'm only gonna plant out 2 and hope that I don't have any issues. And just like that, we have tomato number 2 planted out as soon as I get all that soil moved back over. I do have a little bit of an issue with some of the larger pieces in this mix this year. I'm not entirely sure why that's happening. I've never really had that issue in the past. But the last bag I got just seems to be a little woodier. And this one I'm excited for. This is the Mai Tai tomato. It's an F1 hybrid. And so I'm hoping it'll do pretty well since it's got some of that hybrid stockiness that helps with some of that disease resistance. But like I said, it's another one of those, I believe it's yellow and stripy, kind of like the Alice Dream tomato that I first planted out. A lot of these are going to look very similar, but I have this thing where I see a pretty looking tomato, especially if it's an orange or a yellow tomato, and I just have to try it, even if it looks pretty similar to something else I have. It's just something within me. I need it. I need to try it. And this next one is called Nebraska Wedding. Ever since I found this tomato, I have planted it out each year. It is a beautiful orange, meaty tomato. It's a determinate variety, and it's one of the very few that I have besides my dwarf tomatoes. Most of my seeds are indeterminate, but this one is a determinate. It kind of acts like a paste tomato, which is why I think it is determinate. And so a lot of times I'll just mix this tomato in with my Romas and all of my other paste style tomatoes when I'm making a sauce. I'll even grow it next to the rest of the paste tomatoes because they are usually all determinate plants, and I like to keep those all in the same section. But because it is from Nebraska and it is named Nebraska Wedding, it grows so well in my area. It's from my area. It just makes sense to continue to grow it, and I will always and forever grow the Nebraska Wedding. So if you're in Nebraska, I highly recommend this tomato. And this next one, as I slowly get to it, is probably the one I'm most excited about. I love the pineapple tomatoes, and this one is from Wild Boar Farm, and it's called the Pineapple Pig. I have heard so many good things about Wild Boar Farms. I've grown the Brad's Atomic Grape and the Solar Flare, but I got the seeds through Baker Creek. But this year I decided that I was going to go directly to Wild Boar Farm and start seeing some of the varieties that they were providing. And I saw this Pineapple Pig, and with how much I really love the pineapple variety of tomatoes and the fact that that is in the cross of this tomato, I had to give it a try. I'm really hoping this one does well and I get lots of tomatoes, and it's just, I'm imagining all of the good things about this variety. And for the variety that's coming up next, it's one of those ones I said I wasn't gonna grow this year, but I found the breeder for this variety. So Russ did this whole Starfighter line of tomatoes, and the Kaylee Ann is a white tomato in this line of tomato breeding that he's doing. I got it from an Etsy breeder. Not a breeder. It was just an Etsy seller. I got this seed from an Etsy seller last year, and it didn't do well for me. Most of the tomatoes I got from the Starfighter line just didn't do spectacularly. It grew very spindly and very sickly looking, and I got only a few tomatoes off of each of them. But my hope was, going from the breeder this year, I might have a better chance of what these tomatoes could actually be. So I bought every single Starfighter tomato. And this Kaylee Ann here, I'm going to be planting out both seeds, the one I got from the Etsy seller and the one I got from the breeder, and I'm going to do a comparison. It's totally possible that the nature of these varieties is a little more spindly than I'm used to, but I want to test that out. I want to make sure that I'm giving this tomato justice. So that's kind of why I decided to plant out both packs of seeds that I had. And this is hopefully going to either make it so that I'm really excited about this line of tomatoes, or it's just going to confirm that, hey, these aren't hardy enough or stable enough that I want to continue to grow them. I do know that Baker Creek picked up the Starfighter Prime this year, which is kind of what gave me hope for the rest of the Starfighter line and to try it again, but this time directly from the breeder. But we'll see. There is hope there. I will say, the original seeds I got from the Starfighter line in those tiny Ziploc bags are not my favorite. I struggle so much to get those open and to put them back. I don't mind Ziplocs, I just teeny tiny Ziplocs. Not my thing. Penny Lane. Penny Lane is this current variety that I'm about to plant out, and it is also from that Starfighter line. I haven't tried this variety in the past. It wasn't available. I don't even know if it was available last year from the breeder, but I believe it is more of a yellow tomato, if I remember off the top of my head, but don't quote me on that. It might not be. It's just been a while since I've looked at the pictures of this, but I'm just going to plant out 2 seeds and hope for the best. And maybe it won't be spindly like I've experienced in the past. You'll see me over there every once in a while putting a little bit of tape on some of the new packets of seeds. That's just so that I don't lose seeds inside of the container that I store my seeds in. And this is the last variety of the Starfighter line that I'm going to be planting out today. And this is the VT16. This is more of a pinkish tomato, and I consider a pink tomato a lighter tomato, because you'll see when I plant out my dark tomatoes that those lean darker reds and those purple varieties. Purple, I love purple tomatoes. I'm not a standard red tomato lover, so most of the time I'll lean either purple tomatoes or more towards the yellow-orange tomato. I'm on that kind of spectrum of tomatoes. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes a standard red tomato is perfectly fine, but I like those varieties either with that heartier, smoky flavor or those fruitier, sweet flavors. So that's why you won't see a lot of standard red tomatoes in my stack of tomato seeds. And once again here, I'm going to be planting out both packs of seeds just so I can do a comparison on whether or not it's the breed that has the features I don't like, or if it's just that first set of seeds wasn't a good set of seeds, or it just wasn't a good planting year for that variety of seed. I decided to take some of the extra mulch out of my mixes just so it doesn't hinder when those tomatoes start coming up. I started getting a little paranoid that some of those bigger pieces was not gonna do well when those seeds start germinating. So here we have the Renegade. It's another one of those packs from the Need for Seeds. I I think it was on a tomato Facebook group where I learned about this Etsy seller who was selling these tomato seeds, and I ended up running down a rabbit hole and getting a handful of their seeds just to try out. And here, of course, is the Renegade. I think it's another one of those yellow tomatoes. But once again, I'm not 100% sure because it's been a while. And here we have a free seed pack, and then the original ones I bought, I think last year, is Solar Flare. So Wild Boar Farm gave me this free sample of the Solar Flare, which apparently he's the breeder for, and I'm guessing that Baker Creek actually gets their seeds from him, since that's, I believe, what they do for Brad's Atomic as well, but that just might be how I have interpreted a lot of things I get story-wise from websites and the rest of the internet, as we all share what kind of seeds we really, really enjoy. But I decided to plant out both of these simply because I had both of them. I believe I got a couple of decent tomatoes off of this plant last year, and I really enjoyed it. So I figured, why not also do the breeder provided seeds? And since I'm doing all of these comparison tests, why not add it to my list of comparisons? Now, I do want to apologize in advance for butchering the pronunciation of these next couple varieties of seeds. So this first one is Uluru Ochre. I don't think I said that right, but that is how it is coming out of my mouth. But it looks like it is kind of terracotta-y, but it's leaning more yellow than the orange of the Thorburn terracotta. And I do like the Thorburn, so I thought this one would be a good one to try this year, especially when I saw it in the catalog. I couldn't really say no to it. So here we are, planting it out. And I know for sure this next one I am not going to pronounce right at all, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And if you can tell me how to say it in the comments down below, that'd be great. But it is the... confidence. I need confidence. We're a kawaii tomato. You're about to see what it looks like. It's a very pretty tomato. It's a dwarf tomato, which is why I'm planting it out again. I had somewhat success with it last year. I didn't get as many tomatoes off of it as I wanted to. It was one of those ones I put into pots, which is why I have growing all of my dwarf varieties this year. I struggle to grow things in pots, and I'm determined to be successful at it at some point. And the only way you could do that is keep on trying, right? So here I am again with, I believe this is the only dwarf variety I have in the light slicers. I have a couple of dark slicer dwarfs, but I'm hoping for better success. This year I'm going to add a mixture of warm castings and sheep's wool. to the containers so that they're better at water retention and release, and so that I have a better nutritional mix. And this last one is the Woodstock tomato. This is my last slicer variety, and this one looks so pretty on the Johnny's website, if I'm remembering the correct tomato, and it's called Woodstock. Between Snoopy and my hippie nature, I couldn't say no to this tomato, so I'm excited to see what this one does. It's probably very similar to both the Alice Dreams and the Mai Tai tomato, if I'm thinking of the right tomato. It's another one of those yellow tomatoes that might have a touch of red to it. And then I'm just gonna clean up my mess a little bit. I'm gonna move the seed packets, because what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna put a light layer of vermiculite just for water retention and to keep that algae growth down, since I am using a very compost heavy mix. And then I'm going to spray everything lightly down, and by spraying it down, I'm hoping to get better contact for those seeds in that soil and to make sure things don't shift around as much as they could. So here you see me adding that vermiculite just lightly, because I've already buried the seeds. I'm just trying to make sure that things that I don't want to grow don't grow. And then I'm going to just lightly start to spray water on top of the soil to just press everything down. This is a mister. It's battery powered, but you can recharge it. It is the best investment I have done for my seed starting indoors, and I've been using it for years now. I absolutely love this thing. But that is basically my first round of tomato seed starting. I will be doing, I believe it is Roma tomatoes next. I call most of my paste tomatoes Romas, even if they aren't Romas, so I probably should relabel that category as paste tomatoes, but I have about 9 of those. So I hope to see you guys again for that. Feel free to subscribe down below or follow me over on Instagram and Threads. And I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.